and honestly, he liked it that way. Greg wasn't a guy to grab the spotlight, but he did play a large role in helping the Lawrence Partnership get off the ground. I knew Greg, having worked with him when he was Secretary of Housing and Economic Development under former Governor Deval Patrick. Greg had a different way of looking at problems, and I carry that with me to this day. Whenever a community would ask for funding, he wouldn't just look at the funding request itself. He would ask, what are they trying to do? What are they trying to accomplish? And then he would get us all together to make sure that they succeeded in that goal. He looked for their needs and then would find a way to fill them. That's why his fingerprints are all over the Transformative Development Initiative, the Housing Development Initiative, and the MassWorks program. It's why Governor Healy called him a visionary. Greg never wanted recognition. He wasn't even on social media. But he was always there when we needed him, providing guidance and financial assistance. Greg cared very much for the Lawrence community. He was a friend, a mentor, a guide, and we will all miss him. So thank you for your moment. Appreciate it. You will notice on the agenda that normally we would ask the mayor of the great city of Lawrence to come up and say some welcoming remarks, but I've been informed that he has been detained and can't attend. So on his behalf, welcome. But we have a great guy. We have a great guy that's up next. His name is Socrates De La Cruz. He is the founding partner of De La Cruz Companies and the chair of the Lawrence Partnership. Soc will say a few words about the Lawrence Partnership and where it's focusing its efforts in this coming year. Please welcome Socrates.
Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. You know, I do law in the day, and he said the mayor's been detained. He has not been detained. I just want to clarify that. ICE did not raid City Hall. The mayor's busy, as you all know. He's a very busy man. So, Brian, we love you. We know that you cannot be here, and he is not detained. But thank you so much for all being here. You guys are fantastic. For me, it's like a joy to see so many champions for the city of Lawrence. All of your faces, all of the work you do, everyone in this building right now represents something that's being done for the city of Lawrence. And for me, as a kid who grew up in the housing projects in Lawrence, was educated in Lawrence, and now is a practicing attorney in Lawrence, it makes me proud. So give yourselves a round of applause. Harder than that, come on. There you go. It's for you. You're blessed. And listen, I have a quote that I want to read that says, "Great things are achieved not by individual strength, but by the relentless effort of a united team." And really, that's what you are. That's what the Lawrence Partnership is. And in the last couple of years, the Lawrence Partnership has built a think tank, and we've come up with these eyes and ears out for how that is going to continue to develop. And number three is community engagement. As you all know, this is what the Lawrence Partnership is all about. And our mission is to improve the quality of life for all Laurentians. And how? Through inclusive economic development. You will see an example of some of the incredible businesses that have been formed, are out working now, just in the food that you will eat and the coffee that you will drink. And that's just one sector of business. So what we have going on there is being led by a Lawrence Partnership board member, Evan Silverio, who is sitting up front. If you can raise your hand, Evan. He's chairing this group. We recently kicked off the Lawrence Partnership Network, which is a group of young leaders in and around the city of Lawrence who are committed to Lawrence's success. So there you have it. Those are the three pillars that you will see and hear that the Lawrence Partnership is focusing on for the next year, 2 or 3, until we get some movement in those statistics. Now I want to turn my attention to 2 board members, Lawrence Partnership board members. These are 2 individuals who I would like to recognize. They don't know I'm doing this. I just think it's a perfect time, and we should do it. One is Chet Zablak, and the other one is Chris Sullivan. And what I will say about them is that they've been tireless leaders for your city, for my city. They've been on the Lawrence Partnership Board since its inception. And this year, they are resigning from the board into, I don't like using the word retirement, and I'm sure neither of them is going to retire. Chris is sitting next to me to my left. I have not seen Chet yet, but I would like for all of you, if you can please stand and join me in a round of applause, in a show of appreciation for Chet. You may be seated.
Thanks, I will admit I walked into that one. I just sort of redlined a ton of my narrative to make sure I don't have any more wordsmiths out there. Thank you all. Thank you, Sark. Yeah, the Lawrence Partnership is doing amazing, amazing things for the community. To kick off the awards portion of our program, I would like to ask our host, the president of Central Catholic High School, a member of the Lawrence Partnership Board, and just an all-around great guy, Chris Sullivan, to come up and recognize some amazing students in our community. I really appreciate that, Sark. Thank you. I want to know what it's like being in a funeral. One of my favorite things about being a part of the partnership is that we celebrate all the good things that happen in our city. And if you're one of the people that's fortunate enough to work with young people, then you know there is so much to celebrate about the city of Lawrence. And so I love the fact that we as a partnership have decided to honor some individuals who are graduating, who are moving on, but who have made a difference already in a young stage in their career. So we're going to take a few moments just to recognize some of those young individuals who are residents of the city and who are making a difference. The first one is Kiani Adamas. Kiani has recently graduated from Central Catholic High School. She's a resident of the city of Lawrence. At commencement, right here in this gym a few weeks ago, she was awarded the prestigious Brother Florentius Award, which is the top award we give here at Central Catholic for a student who best represents the ideals and the mission of our school. Kiani is a gifted singer. She's performed with the concert choir and a cappella group for many years. She's also a student leader in campus ministry. She's led retreats. She mentors young students both in their academics and in their faith journey. She's going to attend Holy Cross in the fall, and I'd like to present to you Kiani Adamas.
She's been a dedicated member of Top Notch Scholars for the past 4 years, as both a student and as a part-time staff member. Once very shy, she's grown into one of the program's most inspiring leaders. As youth CEO of the Entrepreneurship Academy, she's led her team to record-breaking sales and helped raise over $40,000 in scholarships for other students in Lawrence. Her compassion, humility, and tireless commitment make her a true embodiment of Top Notch Scholars' mission. Ladies and gentlemen, Serenity Sierra. Our next recipient is Victor Van. Victor is a graduate of Northern Essex Community College and Central Catholic. He overcame early academic challenges caused by a sleep disorder and returned to Northern Essex determined to succeed. With support from the PACE and SOAR programs, he not only excelled in math, but he became a peer tutor. This winter, he was accepted to Columbia University, where he plans to double major in math and physics. Very impressive. The first in his immediate failure to graduate college, Victor aspires to pursue a PhD and a career in research. I present to you Victor Van. Brianna Ventura Moreno is a driven and dynamic Lawrence High School senior whose leadership, advocacy, and work ethic stand out in every aspect of her life. From participating in MIT's prestigious MITES program to co-founding a campaign on Black maternal health, she's already creating meaningful change. A first-generation college student, she balances work, family responsibilities, and academics while championing equity in healthcare and STEM. Brianna plans to pursue medical research to improve community health outcomes. Ladies and gentlemen, Brianna Ventura Moreno.
Amazing young people. The future is bright, that we can be assured of. Our next presenter is Gary Slidell, who is the Vice Chair of the Lawrence Partnership Board. Gary is literally the hardest working board member I've ever met. Gary has some exciting announcements to make about the city's rising star, so please welcome Gary.
We'll take it. So this is the part of the program with a slightly older recipient of awards, but I love this part of the program. And the reason I do is that we're getting a chance to recognize some people that are just hardworking, behind the scenes. They don't do it for recognition. They contribute to their companies in the community, and this is that moment for them to be recognized. Some of them don't like this. I would say most of them don't like the spotlight, but we're doing it today because they deserve it. So the first rising star, by the way, you know, we go through a nomination process here. We vet these people that are nominated, and so we take this pretty seriously, and we see these three as growing and contributing leaders for the long haul. So the first I'm happy to announce is Marisol Rodriguez. So Marisol is an accounting manager with Age Span, where she joined in 2018. She is a leader within the Aging Services Access Points Network in Massachusetts, playing a key role in managing the financials of the Massachusetts Aging Access Association. Before joining Age Span, she worked for the mayor's office in Lawrence, always providing crucial support to constituents facing challenges related to housing, healthcare, and citizenship. Beyond those responsibilities, she dedicates countless hours to the Lawrence community. She volunteered to deliver meals to those in need, actively participating in advocacy days at the State House, and contributed to multiple food drives. She has volunteered as a coach for her child's soccer team, big job, by the way. She also supports small, often minority-owned businesses through the city's licensure process, empowering local entrepreneurs to realize their dreams. So please welcome Marisol Rodriguez. Our next award recipient is Tanya Martinez, an attorney and partner at Government Columbia. I love this too because she's kind of shy. And, again, she does not like this moment, and I love it. I love this. So Tanya is a partner at Gomez and Martinez and a respected immigration attorney with over 15 years of experience advocating for the rights and dignity of immigrant communities. As we know, that's even a harder job now than ever. As a daughter of Italian immigrants, Tanya brings both professional insight and personal perspective to her work, making her a passionate and empathetic advocate for family unity and justice within the immigration system. Tanya focuses her practice on family-based immigration and deportation defense, representing individuals and families before the Executive Office of Immigration Review, the Board of Immigration Appeals, the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, and the National Visa Center. She has a deep knowledge of immigration law and steadfast dedication to her clients, and because of that, she's a trusted legal voice across the entire region. Tanya also currently serves as chair for the AILA New England for the 2025 and 2026 term, which represents over 900 immigration attorneys across New England. She also serves on the AILA National Board of Governors. She's busy. Tanya is also deeply committed to empowering the communities that she serves. So she regularly volunteers her time to lead Know Your Rights seminars and citizenship clinics within the city of Lawrence and the surrounding towns, reflecting her passion for education and outreach. She also served on the board of directors for De La Mano, a Merrimack Valley nonprofit focused on domestic violence intervention and prevention. And then out of all those accomplishments, I think she's probably most proud of her family. She and her husband Chris are work with the Movement City Youth, which again, if you don't know much about Movement City, it's time that you did. They are growing, they produce some amazing people, and I'm just so proud to give Elvis this honor, so come on up.
Congratulations to the rising stars. Before I ask the next presenter to come up, I want to take a moment to recognize Derek Mitchell. Derek is the founding executive director of the Our next presenter is the executive director of Groundword Lawrence, a Lawrence Partnership board member and one of the smartest people I know. She likes to say that she likes to be in the background, but every time I turn around, she's photobombing everyone. So you decide. Please welcome Leslie Melendez. Leslie will present the prestigious David Tibbetts Award.
Thank you, George. I do not photobomb. Where's my bell? She makes me take pictures. Thank you, everyone. Welcome. It is my honor today to recognize Mary Ann Paley Nadell. A visionary leader, a tireless advocate, and a lifelong champion for the city of Lawrence as this year's David Tibbetts Economic Impact Awardee. Congratulations. Mary Ann's roots in Lawrence run deep, as does her commitment to inclusive growth, equity, and community empowerment. In 1998, she became the founding executive director of Groundword Lawrence, where she helped transform a fledgling nonprofit into a cornerstone of this community. Today, she continues to serve as the chair of its board, guiding its mission with heart and resolve. Mary Ann is also known for breathing new life into the historic Everett and Stone Mills, managing over 350,000 square feet of commercial space and creating a home for nonprofits, educators, small businesses, and makers. She has been a driving force behind the Lawrence's Gateway District, and her latest project, the Dyeworks redevelopment, reflects her unwavering belief in the power of community-led revitalization. Through her leadership, this 42,000 square foot development will house a local supermarket, a health center, and a vibrant youth education hub. Once again proving that Mary Ann sees not just what is, but what could be. Her contributions don't stop there. Mary Ann currently serves on the boards of the Lawrence General Hospital, the Lawrence Partnership, and has been a proud trustee of the Northern Essex Community College. A graduate of Brandeis University and MIT's Master in City Planning program, Mary Ann brings thoughtfulness, strategy, and compassion to everything that she does. She is a connector, a bridge between generations, sectors, and visions, and has made it her life's work to build a more inclusive, innovative, and resilient Lawrence. She has been a mentor, a coach, and a friend to so many of us. And it is my honor and my privilege to be here with you all today to honor Mary Ann.
actually. She cries and I cry. It's just a nightmare. And thank you to the Lawrence Partnership for honoring the work I've been able to pursue as part of this stellar community. So terrific to share today with the incredible students, the rising stars, and the Lieutenant Governor being with us, who I met for the first time in Salem as we went on a fact-finding mission about the Salem Partnership to inform how we were thinking about the Lawrence Partnership. So it's wonderful to be together in this moment. And of course, to Dave Tebbets, it is so great to have you in the house today in the back row. Give a wave. Last night, I attended an absolutely outstanding program hosted at Northern Essex for the Unidos Empower Roadmap to Latino Advancement, where many of our Lawrence Partnership members shared the successes fostered over the past decade. It was a call to action to focus on economic development by addressing business diversity and growth, housing options, workforce development, educational ladders, health outcomes, and immigration. On the way home, I thought about how this work is supported by the three pillars Dave Tebbets values and mentored others to achieve: coalition building and partnership, having a long-term strategy, and inclusive growth. So I'd like to just share some thoughts about each of those categories. I came to Lawrence after college to work with my dad marketing space at the Everett Mills. I mean, most of you know my story well enough by now. He sent me to early morning meetings on the Canal Street Coordinating Committee, tasked to bring the Lawrence Heritage State Park into fruition, including improvements to the canal and the roadways into the downtown. Led by then Senator Patricia McGovern, I remember it as a master class in bringing together local expertise to achieve a complex project, changing the downtown landscape. The initiative was a success, but cities keep changing, right? So even though the canal still requires significant improvement, it was a catalyst to reimagine what the downtown could be, at least reflecting the planning ideals of the time, which was the late 90s. I don't think it's an overstatement to draw a line from that coordinating committee to Lawrence into Action, to the Bread and Roses Heritage Festival started, to the North Canal Coalition, the Working Cities Challenge, and the Lawrence Partnership. In these coalition building efforts, we layer ideas, planning, resources to achieve a common vision and successful outcomes. When my dad purchased the Everett Mills in 1980, you might say he had a long-term strategy, but mostly he wanted to fill over 500,000 square feet of industrial space. Coming from the clothing industry, he targeted manufacturing, which of course has a long and proud history in the city. He also cared tremendously about job creation and the opportunity it brought. He brought in Polo, developed the first factory outlet mall, and diversified the tenancy. I inherited that diverse tenancy in 2008 when I took over management, which was also the beginning of the recession. And by 2012, I had to really think about a new leasing strategy. I focused on education, workforce development, and urban manufacturing. And this led to attracting creative businesses, including National Fiber Technology and 99 Degrees Custom. I brought the Phoenix Charter Academy to the space that had once been the Department of Transitional Assistance, which to me had quite a lot of poetry. And this strategy led to an investment in youth organizations, including YDO and Elevated Thought, looking at you two in the back, who have now grown beyond my wildest imagination. I think there is still tremendous opportunity to utilize the mills to incubate and grow new businesses and foster increased employment opportunities and connect those employees to the shops, restaurants, and culture of the city. Over the last 25 years, one pillar of economic development that has made tremendous gains is inclusive growth, particularly fostering more equitable distribution of opportunities and resources. In my service at Groundwork Lawrence, at Northern Essex, and Lawrence General Hospital, I have seen a transformation in leadership at the board and executive levels that better reflects and addresses needs in the city. In real estate, equitable growth takes risks. And through the Lawrence Leads Downtown Initiative project, we asked if together opportunities were targeted in a section of downtown, could that individual risk be reduced and the impact be maximized? Just 5 years later, the answer is a resounding yes, and local visionary and committed homegrown developers have changed Essex Street, bringing new housing, offices, function space, banks, eateries, and beautification. And I would be remiss if I did not highlight the Lawrence Community Works award-winning Arthur Michael Hyatt houses and the Dyeworks project now under construction, capping 25 years of investment in affordable housing and commercial opportunities on the East Island. We have so much to gain from ensuring that economic progress benefits everyone in our community. So I'll close by calling out Derek Mitchell, who says it's always important to have a call to action. So now, together, we have to work smarter because resources available to us are now unpredictable, fluid, and limited. We should aim to work on projects that are part of a long-term strategy that's created, vetted, and shared with the community. And we should pledge to continue working collaboratively across sectors, public, private, institutions, and nonprofits, and in that, being creative, innovative, nimble, data-driven, and true to our process. I believe working locally is the most important thing we can do right now, especially in Lawrence, where every improvement has an outsized positive impact. Thank you again for this honor, and get involved, you won't regret it.
Thank you, Mary Ann. A call to action and to get involved is a great way to finish up. Before I ask the next presenter to come up, I'd like to just recognize there's some folks here that are representing U.S. Senator Markey and Congresswoman Lori Trahan, Liam and Sophia. Where are you? Thank you for coming. I would also like to recognize State Representative Francisco Polino and Estela Reyes in the back. Thank you. And locally, Anna Levy, City Councilor, and Wendy Luzon, City Councilor. Thank you. It is so important to have all our partners together. Our next presenter, it's my great honor to introduce one of the partnership's founding members, one of the city's biggest advocates, and the president of Northern Essex Community College, Dr. Lane Glenn.
Just before I go on script, I'm going to go off script for just a moment and recognize that there's a theme running through a lot of these presentations this morning. Some of you are nodding because you already know what the theme is. It's a theme that is not as common as we might like it to be in public leadership today. And that theme is humility. You heard Gary when he was providing those awards to folks saying, this person doesn't like the spotlight, but we're going to give it to them today anyway, right? And you saw that cavalcade of people coming up here, and you know who they are, and you know that that's true about them. They do phenomenal work, sometimes behind the scenes, not striving for the spotlight. The David Tibbetts Award only exists because when we asked David, thank you David for being here today, if we could name an award for him, he said, absolutely not. No. And we tried to convince him and we only ended up convincing him when we said, David, don't you want people to do what you've done? Right? Don't you want others to model what you've accomplished for the city and for this region and for this Commonwealth, right? And when Mary Ann walked off without taking her award with her, that's what we're talking about, right? I mean, there's something to be said for a certain amount of humility in public life. All right, on with my scripted part. Thank you for letting me do that. Our keynote speaker today is an incredibly impressive and accomplished leader who all of you know pretty well. In fact, one of the most remarkable things about our Lieutenant Governor, I think, is this. I could select any of you at random to come up here and introduce her right now, and you could cover the bullet points about her accomplishments as mayor and as a municipal leader, and you would probably tell a very personal story about how she somehow, I see a bunch of heads nodding, how she somehow helped you or your community in a very unique, specific way. She's just that kind of amazingly interconnected leader. Massachusetts Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll and I share a little bit of a similar backstory. We both spent our younger years living in other parts of the country, and it was higher education that brought us to Massachusetts. Me to leadership at Northern Essex Community College, and her as a student at Salem State University. And it was at Salem State that now Lieutenant Governor Driscoll got a taste for planning when an internship in municipal government eventually led her to a role as Community Development Director for the City of Beverly, then Chief Legal Counsel and Deputy City Manager of the City of Chelsea, and eventually becoming one of the longest-serving mayors in Massachusetts in Salem, one of our state's vital gateway cities. Now, as important as the job of Lieutenant Governor is to the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, most of us here understand, and I think the LG herself would probably agree, it's those community planning and development and municipal leadership jobs like mayor and town manager and city councilor and select board member, there's some of you here today, that carry some of the heaviest loads for accomplishing those day-to-day needs of Bay State citizens. And they also provide some of the greatest learning opportunities. You can see how those early experiences of hers in local government shaped Lieutenant Governor Driscoll's successes today as a communicator, as a planner, as a problem solver, and as someone who always has an eye and an ear out for creative, responsible economic, workforce, and community development. While she was the mayor of Salem, Lieutenant Governor accomplished some amazing things. Here are those bullet points. Some of you can say this with me. Ready? Here we go. A new MBTA train station. Thank you, Lisa. A new state courts complex. A new ferry and a new port at Salem Wharf. She led the efforts to make Salem a national leader in the offshore wind sector. She earned Salem a 100% score on the Municipal Equality Index from the Human Rights Campaign. We could go on and on for quite a while, but she's the one you came to listen to. As I mentioned earlier, everyone in the room could tell a personal story about how she made her life better, so here's mine. It's possible, and you heard Mary Ann refer to this earlier, that none of us would be here today if it weren't for Lieutenant Governor Driscoll. On February 6, 2014, then Salem Mayor Driscoll hosted a meeting in her office at City Hall in Salem with Patricia Zydo, the Executive Director of the Salem Partnership, and a few of us who are here today, including former Lawrence Mayor Dan Rivera, today's David Tibbetts Award recipient, Mary Ann Paley-Nadell, and a number of other founders of what would eventually become this Lawrence Partnership. We were visiting Salem that day because while we knew that the stories being told about the city of Lawrence outside the city of Lawrence did not capture the magnificence of this wonderful community, its energy, its spirit of collaboration, this incredible immigrant city vibe, we weren't yet sure how to create an organization that could tell that story more effectively and, even more importantly, really improve the lives of the residents of Lawrence. So that day, we knew that the Salem Partnership had already been around for nearly 30 years, had accomplished some pretty amazing things, and we wanted to know what's your secret sauce. So our delegation sat, we listened, we learned, and we applied some of the lessons from that day to the creation of this Lawrence Partnership. And the lessons that we heard from then Mayor Driscoll and the collaborators in Salem were things like this. Leave your title and your ego at the door. It's amazing what you can accomplish when you don't care who gets the credit. Build a big tent for supporters, and when you run out of room, add space. Don't confuse activity with accomplishment. Ideas are fine, but they matter most when they lead to action. If you look at our tagline on our buttons or on our signs, ideas, investment, action. Right? That call to action that you heard about from Derek there. The most important guiding principle for this kind of work, especially in gateway cities, inclusive economic development. Don't do anything about me without me. Involve the residents. Make sure the residents of the community are who you have first and foremost in your mind. And a whole lot more. So from the invitation to City Hall to her facilitation of that conversation that day, Mayor Driscoll's approach to leadership back in 2014 was the same inspiring approach
Partnership. It is tremendous to see the success happening in this community, really tied to the coalition building, people coming together, the idea of collective action. And for me, I am a big believer in the power of cities to transform lives. There is so much we can do at the state level, and I appreciate having served as mayor and being in this role now. But where the rubber hits the road, the most important services you rely on in your daily lives, it's happening at a local level. Educating your kids, keeping your neighborhood safe, driving the local economy, investing in the places you make memories. That happens locally. And when a community comes together towards a shared goal, like that's the magic that really moves places forward. So congratulations to all of you who are not only here today, but many others who are contributing to the success of Lawrence and working with the Lawrence Partnership. Please give yourselves a round of applause for caring enough to be here. I also want to offer congratulations to the rising stars, Tanya, Marisol, and Elvis. Like, great to see our youth being involved and lifting things up. We believe in the power of the next generation. You got to get out of the way and make room for it, so I'm glad to see that happening. And of course, Mary Ann. Is there anybody better than Mary Ann? I mean, amazing. The answer to that question is, of course, no. There is no one better than Mary Ann. Look, I have such gratitude serving in this role. As has been mentioned, I had the good fortune to serve as the mayor of Salem for 17 years. And for someone who did grow up in Salem, Salem had never elected a woman mayor. And we weren't so great to women in 1692 in Salem. To be able to serve in that role as someone who was a Navy brat. I was born in Hawaii. My mom is from Trinidad, grew up in a very bicultural family, and moved around a lot, as military families do. To be able to sort of pick your hometown, landed in Salem and found this incredibly welcoming place, 8 square miles, amazing history of sea captains' mansions around the corner from tenement houses where people worked on the dock, an authentic place that had this sort of grit to you get what you work for, and yet wrapping your arms around people who may have been new to the community. I've never forgotten what Massachusetts means to me, and I think both the governor and I. Governor also grew up outside of Massachusetts, just over the line in New Hampshire. We have such gratitude for being in Massachusetts and for being in a role to sort of help shape policy and shift resources and lead with integrity and with urgency, especially given these hard times. And to be in a position to empower and uplift what's happening at the local level, we think that is the key part of the work that we need to do in the positions that we're so fortunate enough to hold. There's a reason Massachusetts is #1 in education, #1 in innovation, #1 in healthcare, the #1 place to live if you're a woman, the #1 state to have a baby, the #1 state to raise a family, the safest state. I could go on. We have a lot of accolades that are tied to our state. It's because of the investments we've made. We've been really intentional about trying to ensure that we have the resources and are making the strong dollar commitment, not just the talk, but the action, to ensure that we have a high quality of life. IBM was here for a conference they hold every year called Think. It's a pretty big conference, and the governor and I had a chance to pull out the IBM CEO. This is a global company. They can operate anywhere. They do operate anywhere and everywhere. And we had a brief few minutes to sort of chat about how he sees the landscape and why is he in Massachusetts? What does he think the growth potential in as it is? And he said, I want you to know something. We will always be in Massachusetts because you have the most educated workforce in the world. The most educated of the workforce in the world. Now, we are #1 for education. I will also say we know we are not #1 for all, which means we have to dig deeper. When we say these sorts of accolades, #1, #1, that we recognize that there's an inequity that exists in certain places, among certain people, and it's our job to put our finger on the scale to make sure we're more equitable as we think about these very important roles that we play. I shared that story with you because I think of what we're doing now in the throes of a federal partner that no longer exists, quite honestly. That means those of us in state government feel a little bit like you're on your own. What are you going to do to move your state forward? How can you call out the harms that are happening? How can we be that transformational place? For me, we're the state that makes the impossible possible. We were those troublemakers 250 years ago, the ultimate disruptors, putting tea in the harbor, risking life and limb, and this idea of something called self-governance and fundamental freedoms, the idea that we could have a democratically run society. I was out in Lexington Green and in Concord a few weeks back, Anybody else there, like 5 a.m. in the morning? Nobody? Okay. I'm a better patriot than all of you. But when you're there, you can't help but realize the folks who were on that green and who stood on that bridge were just ordinary people. They were farmers and merchants and blacksmiths who believed in this idea of collective action towards something better. They took on the greatest military manpower known to mankind at that time in this belief that collectively they could build a better future. When I think about that, I think about our role today, 250 years later, as we celebrate that history, what it means to be from Massachusetts. I think that revolutionary spirit is alive and well today. I see it when we bring together the folks who are coming up with life-solving cures and drug treatments and therapies. I see it when we have applied AI and robotics and advanced manufacturing. We were the Industrial Revolution leaders. A lot of that happened here in Lawrence. What we're seeing now in terms of the skill set that we're developing, that happens because we care about each other and we want to get to the hard stuff. There's a restlessness in Massachusetts that's different than other places. And when we celebrate that history, we also have a responsibility to live up to it. So I can tell you in our administration, we've got some, I'd say some real pillars that we stand on. One is around trying to build a state that's more affordable, more competitive, and more equitable. Because you can't be number one for all in so many areas if people can't afford to live here, can't afford childcare, or don't have access to a quality education. We have the most diverse cabinet in Massachusetts history because we believe in making room for others, women, people of color. We're selfish about it. We believe in that, yes, as a core value, but we believe in it because it leads to better outcomes. We get better solutions to some of the hardest challenges we face in government when we widen the table and allow more people there. And some of that's resulted in a couple of things I just want to share with you. And I know I'm between you and lunch, and I actually got a bird's eye view of lunch. You're going to like it. So I'll be brief. But I do want you to know this doesn't happen by accident. Great cities don't happen by accident. The Commonwealth being number one in so many areas. It's not just happenstance. It's because we care about each other. We're willing to put collective action, sometimes taking some slings and arrows to lead to a better future. Nobody defines that more than this community here in Lawrence. When we make investments in education, our state is number one for a reason. And we've continued in that pathway, ensuring that we had tuition equity. So if you are an undocumented student that graduated from high school and wants to go to college, you can pay the Massachusetts state rate like everybody else. Core value. We made sure that when the child care tax credits went away from this country after COVID, when the child care voucher systems, we call them 3C, were going to go away. We continued those because if we don't have child care, people can't go back to work. And people who are most impacted by that are single-headed households led by women. So we reinvested close to $300 million in ensuring that early child care, gateway to pre-K, our gateway cities, again, that equity. We need to make sure we're investing in affordable child care in the places that need it most. And then community college. Think about going to community college for free, which you can do now because we've made investments in amazing institutions like Lane Glenn's and several others in this Commonwealth. We've seen a double-digit increase in individuals going to college. And we had close to 1 million people who started college, but life got in the way and they didn't finish it. Now have an on-ramp to go. Why else is that important? Because about 40% of today's graduates are probably going to need some career retraining in the span of their life, their work. Who knew you'd be working on an app for your phone 15 years ago when people graduated from high school or college? With AI and the work that we're doing, probably a good 40% of our workforce is going to be doing something different later, a job that we can't even define. What's the on-ramp to do that, to get a credential, to ensure that you have economic mobility? That's called community college. And we're holding them accountable to ensure that the fields we rely on, STEM and healthcare, what do those pathways look like? That only happens if we make investments in ensuring it's available. Early college, CTE, I heard a lot of our young leaders that you were recognizing here today. Our students are telling us they want to know what they're learning in high school. It has something to do with what they might do as a career. We're embarking on including more career pathways in high school, making those connections, a whole new high school redesign. You can't think of high school the way it was when you went to high school, when kids are graduating into a world where they're not even sure what exact job they might have. It's not going to be in a mill for 20 years, carrying a lunchbox every day. It's going to look different, and that's okay. That's what Massachusetts leads on, but we need to make sure we're preparing that next generation. When it comes to economic development, we can't be asleep at the wheel. There are a lot of states that are looking at Massachusetts and have our playbook and like it. We are the life sciences leader. When I leave here today, I'm going to a to recognize our life science bona fides. We are the global leader in life sciences. That's pharmaceuticals, healthcare industry, the amazing research that goes on that's curing childhood cancers, and ensuring that we have new ways to make life better for human beings who live not only here, but frankly, across this entire planet. Every 4 years, we do a new economic development strategy. We're required to by legislators. And I do want to thank the legislators who are here. None of the work that we do, inspiring new resources and partnerships, can happen without having what I like to call adult-in-the-room energy when it comes to governing. And that's what having a partnership with legislators look like. But when it comes to economic development, we come up with a new plan every 4 years. It's a good exercise. What's working, what's not. As Wayne Gretzky says, you don't want to go to where the puck is, you want to go to where it's going to be. We need to think about that when it comes to economic development. 20 years ago, Deval Patrick invested in life sciences, $1 billion in research and accelerator pathways. We are reaping those benefits today. We want to lengthen our lead in that space. And what's our next life sciences? Well, we believe it's climate tech, a term that nobody even knew about 5 years ago. Climate tech is how do we get the power we need but make sure it's cleaner, so decarbonizing. How do we use technology to make things more efficient in terms of energy use? Anyone who has a thermostat on the wall, it looks different than it did 20 years ago, and it will look different going forward. How we power all of the things that we do in our frankly, our Commonwealth, but in our country, it needs to look different if we're going to build a resilient planet, and we're investing in that space. We've got the accelerators there. We have the power and the talent to make that happen. Again, most talented and educated workforce in the planet. So our economic development strategy is tied to ensuring that we're leveraging all the things we do well. You know, when I was in Salem, people wanted Salem to be an outlet center. You know, like Portsmouth, New Hampshire had outlets. Let's go after outlets. We had no business going after outlets, folks. We didn't have the land. We didn't have the highway access. And then they said, well, Peabody is a business park development capital. David Tibbetts, you might remember some of this. Let's do like Peabody does and start building suburban office parks. Salem is 8 square miles and has no highway access. We have no business being in that. We want to leverage what our strengths are. Every community, every part of the Commonwealth has strengths. How do we leverage it? In our case, it was history and the coast and the waterfront. So yeah, we made Halloween last 31 days, maybe a little longer. But we had assets that we wanted to leverage. The creative economy, the Peabody Essex Museum. That's how we think about the state. What are the assets that we have that we need to feed? I can tell you one of our greatest assets is our gateway cities. Salem, Lawrence, Lowell, Pittsfield, Worcester, New Bedford, Fall River. These were places that had great prominence. They were the regional economic leaders of their time, whether it was tied to the Industrial Revolution in Holyoke. 80% of the world's paper was produced out of Holyoke, Massachusetts at one time. They were industrious. They were entrepreneurial. Our job is to dust off those bones and find the strategies that work with these communities for local economic development drivers. And the way we do that is by partnering with people and all of you. So I want to come here with gratitude to say, I feel like we have the best state in the entire United States. And I'm biased. I live here. I'm a lieutenant governor. But if you look at those tools, what we can leverage, you have to agree with it. That's why it gives me great pain to tell you that I feel like we don't have a federal partner anymore. When we're cutting $3 billion from National Institutes of Health and Science Foundation grants, the very lifeblood of the life sciences industries. That's not only bad for our economy, that's bad for patients. That's bad for America. You know who is now recruiting all those postdocs and those researchers? Other countries. They're going to other places. That makes us less competitive. We're looking at budgets that are going to dramatically reduce the type of healthcare we can provide. We pride ourselves on being first in a lot of things. We were first for universal healthcare coverage. We were first for universal marriage equality. We were first public library, first public school, first public park, oldest subway system. That one's given us a few headaches. But it's because of our thoughtfulness. And so when people are coming after transportation costs and investments in the areas that make Massachusetts thrive, we have to call it out. And lastly, and most importantly, they're coming after people. Now, I'm the daughter of an immigrant, and I know the value of immigrants, not only in my community in Salem, but across this country. And so when I see immigrants like young Marcelo and so many others, not only being picked up, detained, the folks who aren't being so fearful to go to school, to go to doctor's appointments, to call their local police, We have to call that out too. We are a country that relies on immigrants every single day. Lawrence is a city that relies on immigrants every single day. And we're the ones who fought like hell for our fundamental freedoms and democracy. I will be damned if they're going to let us take that from us without standing up and calling it. I'm going to close with this. There are a lot of folks who don't live in Lawrence who want to try and define what Lawrence is or what it isn't. You're the antidote to that. You coming together. Because when I see Lawrence, I see hard workers, I see entrepreneurial spirit, I see neighbors who care about neighbors, I see tremendous economic opportunity, and I see a future that realizes the next generation is going to be better than this one because of what we do collectively to support, uphold, and empower them. I see the future of Massachusetts in so many ways. That doesn't happen by accident. It's because people care, they come together, and they seek collective action. Thank you for doing that for Lawrence, because as you uplift this community, you uplift our Commonwealth. I'm so grateful to be with all of you here today. Congratulations on all the work you're doing. I look forward to partnering and being an ally in all that comes next. Have a great day.
Backed by popular demand, Socrates Dela Cruz. With some closing remarks.
You still mad about the detainee. No, but look at Pastor, look at Pastor. What a fantastic speech. What a fantastic morning. You know, it really captured my thought when the Lieutenant Governor said Massachusetts from the state level, they look at their greatest assets in its gateway cities, Lawrence being one of them. And the Lawrence Partnership has always said that the greatest asset of the city of Lawrence is the citizens of Lawrence. And if Lawrence makes Massachusetts great, that means that you and I make Lawrence great. And I want to close with this question that we ponder, that we take home, and we think about. Number one, or not number one, it's kind of 3 ideas, which is ask ourselves, what ideas, what investments, what actions am I taking to make Lawrence, as a community, better? Because as we each answer that question and we take action, Lawrence will continue to get better. So that's the call for all of us. And on behalf of the Lawrence Partnership, our leaders, our board, everyone who put this together, I want to say thank you for coming out. And I don't want you to leave until you stop by one of the stations that is going to give you lunch, because it's one of our greatest assets in the city, has to do with food. And it's very, very good. So definitely, as we walk out, stop by, network. One other thing, please, don't leave without talking to one another. There are different people here who probably need a board member on an organization. There are different people who need different things. Talk to one another, and let's continue to make Lawrence one of the greatest, not just gateway cities, but cities in America. God bless you guys. Thank you.